I find it to be, again, like we talked about how gross The Fly is. Chainsaw is so dirty and it's so raw, and it's like
Gritty.
I don't belong here. I'm scared of just like I'm just scared of this place, right? Movie lovers unite! Welcome to another wonderful episode of the Scary Movie Project, the podcast where we talk about scary movies. I am your host, Matt. And what do they say? If you can't beat them, join them, kind of thing, right? That's kind of where we're going today on this thing. So we are going to talk today. You guys are going to have fun with us today. We're going to talk originals and remakes, okay? That's a big thing in horror. Lots of originals, lots of remakes. Your opinion is different. We all have opinions. I'm going to give you my opinion, but as you know, it's never just me. You guys know him. You guys love him. KB loves movies, is here. He loves movies. And he loves originals and remakes, don't you? And so are you excited to talk about originals and remakes today?
I am, because I think a lot of times there's different situations. People either are so dedicated to the OG that there's no remake that can top it or even come close. Or you might have the situation, depending on how long ago the original was, that they don't know it's a remake. And they just glom on to the new one.
That's a great point. I want to touch on that as we go deeper. I like that. That's a good point.
Yeah.
That's a good point. So, yeah, some are great, some are terrible. I don't know. It kind of goes back and forth, I think. There is definitely some remakes that I like that we'll talk about here. And if for no better reason, do you want to jump into this now? You want to just kick it off? Let's just go. You ready?
Let's just go. I mean, what are we going to do? Like 5 each? We might as well get into it.
It's a few, right? And the best part is we also picked one that we didn't tell each other about. Yeah. So that's going to be fun. That hopefully we've seen the one that we picked for each other. So
I would hope so.
as Tom Brady would say, let's go.
Let's go.
All right. This is going to be fun. We're going to read off taglines too. So, newlyweds and their children battle a demonic presence in their home. And if you don't know, Amityville Horror. That's where we're starting with. 1979, Amityville Horror. We're talking about that one. So, okay. Amityville Horror. It's kind of campy. I don't know. You guys know on this show my love for the Amityville Horror, the story itself, like the actual haunting, the real deal. You know, Blaine Duncan and I talk about it all the time. It's our tangent when we talk about this. This movie's, it's okay. There's something, one thing, it's long. It's like 2.5 hours. There's some interesting parts where I noticed the music is, I didn't notice till like a couple years ago. Pet Sematary, I'm pretty sure, took the music from the beginning of the opening scene of Amityville Horror. I swear to God, it's the same music. God. I swear to God, it's the same music. But it had to have been Amityville first, of course, because that was 1979.
Right.
And like, there's these interesting scenes of like this, I don't want to say soft, that's not softcore porno, but like when they're in the bedroom and it's so like interesting and it's so 70s and like, I like it. I do like it. I do like it because it is the original like haunted, well, it's not the original haunted house movie, but it's like the modern day haunted house movie. And it's, you know, from the book, of course, and this is the story of what happened and it was shocking and it's good. I like it.
So do I.
I don't love it, but yeah. So what are your thoughts on Amityville original?
Well, one, coming from New York, knowing people on Long Island, people know exactly where the house was.
That's right.
And growing up, I mean, I was a kid in the 70s, but as you get into the 80s, it's still a phenomenon. So people are talking about the book, people are talking about the location, people, of course, talking about the movie. And I always try to judge a movie for the time it was made.
Good point.
And you have to imagine this is coming off of the beginning of the summer blockbusters era, decade.
Jaws had just come out a couple of years before.
Exorcist, Star Wars. And then all of a sudden you get this thing. And I think like you said, it's not the original haunted house, but I think the ties to reality and people like, is it real? Did it really happen? And, you know, believing the family and everything is what really enticed people to go see it. So I remember growing up and hearing about it. And then as I got older and having family out there, like my cousins lived one town over. So it was like a big deal to like go and visit the house or whatever.
Heck yeah.
But the original, the thing you mentioned, it's longer, but I think it plays like a slow burn. And I love that about it because it builds up. not as like a spooky horror, but like more of like a psychological horror.
Yes.
And you got James Brolin in the lead, and you got like, of course, you have practical effects, but minimal practical effects at the time, and the emphasis on like remembering certain things. Get out, whatever
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah. It's
So,
awesome.
I mean, even at the time, just doing a little research for this, it wasn't like a blockbuster hit, but it was like medium to positive reviews of it. But it was enough for people to get out and see it. So just the building up of suspense and the tie-ins with people wondering if it's real, I think it was enough to like get people in the seats, and I love it. I think,
Good.
is it Vinegar Syndrome? For my physical media folks out there, I think I have the Vinegar Syndrome copy of that. So it's great, nice copy of it and everything. So it looks good, but it's all that eeriness of the movie that really keeps it going.
Yeah, and I do like it, and Margot Kidder, I like her and James Brolin in it. I think they work well. Yeah, it's kind of a movie of its time. I know there's at least one scene where I think there's actually like a mounted pencil sharpener on one of the tables, I think. And it's like, if you remember that, that was a thing back then, and the long phones with the cords, and all those kind of things are funny to look at. But yeah,
timely.
No, it is. So I think I'll mention remakes that I prefer. So this is one that I prefer. I prefer Ryan Reynolds' 2005 remake. I do. I think it's darker. I think it's more evil. I love the Jack Ketchum backstory of what went on. The catch him, kill him, and all that stuff. And
aggressive.
Yes, the magnets and the way he gets possessed, and just the violence. And when they find the little girl and they're putting the finger through, why'd you do this to me, Ronnie? And the way it starts, the storm, and then he's walking through the house shooting everybody, and I don't know. I think, to me, that one did it for me. I know the house was totally different. And by the way, I went to see that house. It's in Wisconsin. I drove by it a few months ago and I was there. It's awesome.
Yeah.
It's just sitting on like a lake. It's the house is spooky. It's a little bit different. I like it. That one for me, I think, is scarier. I find it more frightening. I know Ryan Reynolds is kind of a goof, but I think he does a good job, and I think he's scary, and he's a mean like stepdad. A couple of those lines of his are just so nasty, where he's like getting all pissed off, and the dad's like, what if our dad, well, I don't see him around anymore, do I? He's not here. And he's just saying all these terrible things. You're like, dude, this guy is messed up. And he's building the coffins for the kids in the basement, and oh, it's rough, man. It's rough. And then
the possession is just over. That's what I like about it. It's so over.
Yeah, it's good. So that, for me, this is one where a remake for me is a preferable for me.
Yeah, I like the pacing of it in comparison. Like you said, it's much more graphic with the violence and everything, more stylized too. Like you mentioned, darker tone. Of course, being mid 2000s, there's going to be some use of CGI in comparison.
Yeah,
but they used it a lot.
Yeah.
The one thing I would be critical of was the addition of the backstory with the Native Americans.
Okay.
With the indigenous. Because I felt like it was not necessary, but it also gave a little spin to make it different from the original. But I don't know, it added additional sensationalism that wasn't necessary, because it's a solid story. I think, once again, if you didn't see the original and then you see this, you're going to like this, and it's going to stand alone by itself. And if you see the original and you try to do a comparison, this might still come out on top unless you have nostalgia for the original. And this is not a situation where, usually I'm like, well, keep it original. But this is not a situation where I prefer the original or have some nostalgic value with the original. But his performance overall is what really ties me to this. I've only seen it once.
Oh,
it's definitely up for a rewatch again. Might even add it to the collection. But the visuals and his performance, I think this was the first time that I saw some range from him, instead of just playing like a goof, like you said all the time.
Yeah, he's just a goof.
The rom-coms, and then, of course, later on Deadpool and all that. So I like this one for sure.
Yeah, no, it is. And for those folks that want to do movie location, yeah, go drive by the house in Amityville and go to Silver Lake, Wisconsin to see. And like we always say on anything on these, please don't trespass on people's property. Stay on public ground. Take a photo when you do it. But check it out. It's worth a visit. Okay, so we kind of are in tune on these. All right, so
Yes.
next one. 15 years after murdering his sister on Halloween night 1963, you know where I'm going.
Yeah.
Michael Myers escapes from a mental hospital and returns to the small town of Haddonfield, Illinois to kill again. All right, so 1978 Halloween is potentially, I'll never say it for sure because I just can't commit to it. It's potentially my favorite horror movie of all time. It's everything. It's like, I tell people it's like part of my DNA now. It's part of like who I am. And I just love it. And I only watch it once a year now, and I only watch it on Halloween night. Only once a year. I've probably seen it a zillion times, of course.
You're cutting back.
Yeah, I had to make it. So it's a movie that's the only movie that I am aware of that I believe gets better every time I see it. There's something else. It just kind of, it's like wine, like they say. It gets better. It's everything to me, right? I've gone on and ranted about it forever. I mean, there's not much else I really can say except I just love it so much. And so that's what brings me then. Well, wait, because I want to know, how do you feel about 1978 John Carpenter's Halloween?
It's one of my top favorite movies of all time.
I see the picture on your wall. I see it.
Oh, yes, I do have the original
I see it.
mini poster on there.
I see it.
I'm still a Fred head. You know, Freddy is still top for me. That's just how I grew up. But I have fond memories of Halloween. Before I could see it in theaters, I was watching it, you know, the TV version. I still remember Halloween night. It was a Friday, like Bushwick Bill said. And
and for those of you looking forward to it, Halloween's a Friday this coming year too, so get ready.
That's right. And they showed the TV version of it, then they cut to the news, and then Friday Night Video showed the TV premiere of Michael Jackson Thriller. That was a perfect Halloween night.
That's what else do you need?
Go
right
trick or treating.
Oh man.
Overdose on candy.
Dude.
My aunt made a Pac-Man cake for us.
That is the night right there.
Then we watch Halloween and Thriller. Come on.
Okay. You know what? I usually listen to Thriller like at least 2 or 3 times a day on Halloween.
Yeah.
But man, I gotta like this. Okay, maybe when I'm done with Halloween this year, I'm gonna watch the Thriller video. This is a great idea.
That's great.
Ooh, I like it.
Especially as I get older, you get more into the lore of Haddonfield and everything.
Yes.
And
I'm obsessed with it. It's just
it's more like
I want to live there. Regardless of the murders, I don't care. I want to live there.
The sequels kind of push you back to the original. Like I just went to a film festival last month, and they showed Curse and
6. Okay,
those Thorn movies. I just don't get into,
Can't do
and all it does
yeah.
is make me want to return to 1 and 2.
Sure.
H2O. You know, I'm an H2O apologist, so we could wax poetic about 78.
Oh, we could go on.
Time,
yeah.
But it is what it is. People know it. People know we love it.
I mean, it really is. It is. I mean, and it's just like the simplest movie, and it's just it's just perfect. The score. I mean, but the thing is, it's also not a perfect movie. There are plenty of things wrong with it, but it's just so damn good. Like it doesn't really matter. All right, so. Genuine love for that movie, obviously. Okay.
Easily.
So I forgot to mention this for our other Amityville. I'm sorry. But after being committed for 15 years, Michael Myers, now a grown man and still very dangerous, escapes from the mental institution and immediately returns to Haddonfield to find his baby sister, Lori. 2007 Rob Zombie remake. Okay. The day I heard that this dropped, I was the happiest man on the face of the earth. Rob Zombie, my favorite band is White Zombie. Rob Zombie's like my idol.
Right.
And to think all these pieces are going to go together to make this was a case we mentioned earlier. There was no like, oh God, no, this can't happen. No, this is like 100 miles an hour. Let's go. I cannot wait. There's been like 3 movies in my life that I've been unable to wait for. Batman, original Batman, Michael Keaton.
89 Batman.
Terminator 2.
Yes.
Maybe Bram Stoker's Dracula, but then this Halloween, like literally could not wait to watch it. And then, so the cast. So the great thing for me too is I just gone to a Monster Mania, like literally I think a week before the film opened. Danielle Harris, Scout Taylor Compton, you name it.
She's a sweetheart.
They were all. Oh yeah, they're the best. They were all there. I met like half the cast at that show. So I'm like beyond prep for this at this point. I'm just so ready
Right.
for it. I don't love it. I like it. I like it, but I also had to. I think I had too much expectation, maybe, and I got too wound up. I look back at it now. It's been like, holy crap, 15, almost 20 years, honestly, at this point now. And I'm fonder of it now. I'm fonder of it now. You know, Rob Zombie has his thing is, you know, white trash and the dynamics of that, how that goes. And there's a couple scenes that are just great. Like when Michael Myers is the cops come, he's in the car and that panning shot. Like there's no special effects. Rob Zombie told everyone to not move. And he makes this great shot. And the shot in the hospital when he gets the knife and he stabs the nurse, like there's some powerful, like really, really great scenes. It's a big deal to remake that movie. I mean, you are a horror icon already, but to take that and to do what John Carpenter did, people like me who can't wait, and there's people who are like, F you, dude, you can't do this. So the backstory, because do we need a backstory? Because remember, at the end, in the credits of Halloween, what is Michael Myers listed as?
The shape.
He's not exactly. He's not human. He's pure evil. So now we're getting a backstory about someone who doesn't truly exist or whatever. So I get how that throws people off. I get that, but I liked it. And I'll actually mention this. I actually like Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 better than his Halloween, because that movie is twisted, and it's like a psychological like profile of like what happens to you after the worst trauma like in the world. So both are good. I do like the remake. Like I said, I'm fonder of it now. What you should do, I'll say this. This is awesome. In the physical media, in the special edition DVD, you can probably watch it on YouTube. There's a 4.5-hour making of Halloween that is just behind the scenes of how that right there that's better than the movie.
That's better than the movie.
yeah. So that's, you know, again, I love him. I'm glad he did this. I'm glad we got another version of it. It can't touch 1978 though. It can't.
No. I will give this. This is where I'm a purist.
Okay.
And there's so many movies in the franchise that I'm like, okay, I can see that as a viable continuation.
There's a lot.
Even the last three, they stand alone and they have their own story there. But, like I said, 1, 2, H2O, those are my like pantheon.
Do you like 4? Do you like 4?
I come and go with it. I go back and forth.
You're mentioning pretty much the first 3 fanfare, but I think 4 for me is like my third favorite, probably maybe my second, honestly. Yeah. But the ones you mentioned for sure. Oh yeah.
But the few things, and I do like this about what Zombie does. You mentioned like how he pans and does certain shots. The camera work.
Yeah.
I gotta give him credit for the handheld camera work.
Oh, when he breaks out with the chains and they're walking him down the hall. And the thing you'll love if you watch that making of, there are great shots of that, and the camera guys with the rigs up here and doing the moving.
Yeah, doing the
awesome.
shaking.
Oh, it's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, and then it doesn't stop there. They get in the editing bay, and the editing that they do is so visceral, and it just adds to it.
It's real. It's so real. It's so real.
I just hold on to the fact that it's not Michael, and this is where it makes jumping ahead ends more believable, because it's like it's evil. It's the shape. It can be transferred. So it's not necessarily this person and their backstory and everything, but just that foray into like the abusive childhood and how it could drive you mad.
Yeah.
Madness and evil are 2 different things. And I think that's where I have a problem with the story. But it's intense, it's brutal, it's gritty. It's what you've come to expect from his movies.
Yes.
And 2, I can't watch without some type of enhancements. I'll just keep it at that. But it's trippy. It is trippy.
It is. It's really dark. It's really. I mean, yeah. I like it a lot. I really do like that.
But this is OG easily. This is OG.
Yeah. All right. So okay. So I think we can't touch 1978 Halloween. No. I don't care what you say.
No.
So here's one that I've had mixed feelings of over time. Okay. So 5 friends travel to a cabin in the woods where they unknowingly release flesh-possessing demons. You know it. 1981 Evil Dead. Okay. You start. You go ahead and start us off with 1981 Evil Dead.
1981
Original
Evil Dead.
Evil Dead. Yes.
This is the one that made me fall in love with Bruce Campbell.
Right.
In a sense, actually, the combination of him and Sam Raimi, because, people talk about that actor-director combination, and we really don't see too much in horror movies with the legacy that those two have
It's
set
true.
up. Now it's executive producers, but still, it's keeping the franchise going. And I'm just going to say this about the franchise as a whole. I don't care what your ranking is. I always ask people their ranking, especially as we get to Rise. Now we have the new ones coming out.
Yeah.
To me, this is a perfect franchise because even the movie you like the least is still a good movie.
Okay.
And for me, I got into it with Evil Dead 2, going to the video store, seeing that poster. And I'm not alone.
No, you're not. I'm going to tell you a great story when I get. Yeah, keep going. I'm going to tell you a good story about that.
So I saw 2 before I saw 1, and then I was like, "Isn't this the same movie?" But 2 being a little more stylized than 1, it was kind of like a retelling when you went from 1 to 2. But I just love everything about it: the possession, the demons, the forest, the fact that really 2 is where you establish Ash as the main character. You really don't have a main character in the first one. You spend more time with just him in the second one. That's where it tends to veer off a little bit more. But there's everything about it. The camera work once again here.
Oh, yeah.
It's crazy. It's damn near chaotic.
Yeah.
But it still plays in 81. It still plays with the horror element that's also a comedy. So you have that comedic element in it. You feel it more in 2. Definitely by the time you get to Army of Darkness, it's definitely there. But the fact that they could do so much with so little, this is the Monday morning quarterback of looking at a movie X amount of years later and say, wow, they got away with that. They did this, they did that. But if you just take the story the way it is, the tone is just surreal overall, and it's low budget, and there's nothing stylized about it, but it's so good. It's so good. And of course, today the Book of the Dead looks a lot different. If you see it in Rise and you compare it to 81, you're like, ooh, it's come a long way. But just the simplicity of that movie is what made you love it so much and continue to.
Sure. So my story is different from the original. So I saw it when I was a kid, maybe teenager, and I didn't like it. I really didn't like it, and I didn't bother watching it again, and I went on for years and years and years, and finally I'll shout to my friends at Friday Night Movie podcast that we did an episode with Shy and his sister on there, and we did Evil Dead because he loves Evil Dead. And to your point you were saying about the box, he remembers going, like he said, going to the store and seeing the skeleton with the eyeballs, and like that was so like, I mean, that's what we talked about. It's that too iconic. We talked about that too on our episode of horror art with box art. So plays a big part in horror. Box art that's what drew you in. The box, like I want to sleepaway camp with a knife and a shoe, like I want to see this movie. I want to see this now, right? So Dead
Again, that's another one that just comes to mind when you see the poster or the VHS
Ghoulies
box.
Coming out of a toilet. Like I gotta watch that.
Yeah.
So I went back and I watched Evil Dead, and I said, you know what? This is not bad. And now I have a better appreciation for it. The movie starts with this insane shot of a, camera going over this, like, through the woods and through a swamp, and like, what's going on here? And the practical effect, and it's just like this gore fest. I mean, it's just unbelievable, right? And that's what's so cool. And it's spawned so much stuff, I mean, it's responsible for so much. And yeah, Bruce Campbell and Raimi and the idea, the genius and the idea behind with the no budget stuff is really just very, very cool. I think that's really cool. But yeah, for me, I appreciate its legacy now. I don't know that I love it, but I definitely have better appreciation, and I don't feel as ignorant anymore now that I've kind of seen it, and I feel better. So on that note, though, 5 friends head to a remote cabin where the discovery of a Book of the Dead leads them to unwittingly summon up demons living in the nearby woods in the 2013 remake Evil Dead. So I'll be brief on mine. I liked it. It was fine. I thought that I liked the addiction recovery angle, right?
Yeah.
I liked that. I thought that was interesting. And I loved the death scenes are great. In the bathroom, like the falling on the tile, like the needle, and and the girl that cuts her arm off with the like the or what is it? Like the electric knife, basically, right? And just saws her arm. That is so great. And then like the Jeep falling on her arm. There were some great brutal scenes in that movie that I just loved. Overall, it was, it's I don't know, a remake on steroids, because again, you like you said with Amityville, you have more CG now. You can do more cool things with it. I liked it. I thought it was a different tone with it. I thought it was good. I was entertained by it. Was it necessary? Because this is such a classic movie, do you need it? But yeah, those scenes with the cutting off the arm and the bathroom scene, I loved those. Those were great.
Yeah. I do like the fact that they try to stick to the original, but they took it to a darker tone. So you have this thing of just dread and trauma, and you have the sibling thing, and like you mentioned, the addiction. So it's almost like all the stakes are raised. So it's not just the elements of what they're dealing with, but you have this one character, you have what she's going through, leave it at that, and then all those different things. And just everything that they go through there's a tie to the original, but still it's grounded in that. But then the brutality and the violence,
so
and
brutal.
of course the use of body horror here.
Yeah.
So everything is just elevated. So once again, I don't care what your ranking of all the Evil Dead movies are, but they're all good. They're all good. I know
Rise,
some people will like
Rise. I liked Rise, like set in the old fashioned apartment and everything. I thought that was really cool. I liked that. Yeah, I did.
And I like the fact, just comparing to the original, this might be the only thing that I would say the remake over the original is that you had a central character from the jump, and then becoming the final girl, of course. But whereas in the original one, you had no idea until it got down to the stakes, like who would survive, who it is, and everything. And less humorous, of course, here. Just looking through all my notes.
Right.
So, same thing again, more serious, grim, and of course, once again, as we mentioned, a little bit of the old ultra violence.
A bit of the old ultra violence. Yes, of course. There we go. Speaking of violence, a ragtag group of Pennsylvanians barricade themselves in an old farmhouse to remain safe from a horde of flesh-eating ghouls that are ravaging the northeast of the United States. 1968 Night of the Living Dead. This is the cornerstone of horror. Not the cornerstone, but it's pretty important, right? This is the movie that I remember as a kid, like on Halloween night, on PBS of all channels. They would embrace the holiday, right? But they would show like a horror, like a classic horror. PBS there's going to be something good, and they would show like Night of the Living Dead, or it'd be some Vincent Price movie or something. But to be recognized as that, to play on PBS, like that's pretty amazing to me, right? That's how like great your movie is. This movie is it's the birth of the modern day zombie. It's George Romero. It's what you want to say about the ending of it. Our main character, right, is important. I think that I think Romero may try to say this, that it's anything to do with it. I don't know. That movie to me is it's frightening, but it's also, I feel like I'm removed from it so much because it's so much before my time.
Right.
But I really, really do like it. I really do. I think it's very good. It's like one of the goats, right? It's one of the goats of horror, Yeah. That's what it is for me.
I recently picked up the Criterion of it, and I couldn't tell you the last time that I watched it.
Have you watched it in color, by the way? I never have.
Oh, no.
Yeah,
no,
I don't want.
No,
I don't
desire.
Want to. Right, I don't want.
No
to.
desire.
Right.
But I think you're coming out of all of the changes that took place in the '60s.
Yes.
And whether he'll admit it or not, this was a social movie. It kind of gave way to the popularity. I would never say it's the OG zombie, because you could go back to the 30s for that.
White Zombie and all that. Yeah.
Sure. Those are the
I think
OGs.
it's the modern maybe. I don't know.
Modern zombie.
Right.
But the whole thing about your government and your country is not to be trusted anymore.
What did
So
Romero say? That the thought of the neighbor, what's going on with the neighbor, is like the scariest thing to him. He said
yeah,
something like that.
yeah,
Right.
I don't know what they're doing over there. So you
Right.
have
Right.
fear, you have mistrust,
Right.
and in a sense, you have societal collapse. And
Yes.
what we used to talk about in the 50s that the sci-fi movies of the 50s were like the social commentary on what's going on in the world. Well, this kind of gave us like the horror version of that.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
you know, forget about survival under pressure. That's a typical trope for a horror movie, but everything else blended in. And once again, the way it ended was just like, well, that's on point. So,
And
yeah.
it's just that ending is. I mean, I don't want to if the word perfect is the right way to use it, but it kind of is, and it's just like this, redneck. That's another one for the fire. Go put them on the fire. And it's just like, yeah,
Mhm.
that's like you said. Yeah, that's about right. Yeah,
Yeah.
you know.
But all those Cold War era anxieties are just
Mhm,
addressed, but
mhm.
just not in a knock you over the head kind of way. I love that about it. The simplicity, yet the overtones of the messages that they wanted to deliver. So definitely in comparison, slower movie, but psychological and society, a lot of issues that are faced in that as well. So just a matter of trust, like you were saying before.
Mhm. Mhm.
Trust in your neighbor or the
Yeah.
people downstairs.
Right. Exactly. Right. So when when the unburied dead return to life and seek human victims, 7 refugees shelter in a house in the Pennsylvania countryside. 1990 remake of Night of the Living Dead. Okay, this is the movie that for me, I was a very little kid at the time when this came out, so I
Mhm.
can't speak to what the. This is one that I feel like would have been like people would have been like, no, get away from me with this. Don't even do this. Don't you dare remake this. Like you can't touch this movie. I think one of the things about it was didn't Romero not get many profits from the original or something like
Correct.
so he had to
That's why
basically
it's so public domain.
he had to redo it again. So okay, that's interesting. I like the remake. I
Okay.
like it. I like the majority. It feels very spooky, very eerie, right? The lighting. Tom Savini directed it, and
Mhm.
I think the production wise, it looks very nice. I think it looks great. You know, I love Bill Moseley as the brother. They're coming to get you, Barbara. He's awesome.
Mhm.
The cast is very good. Bill Moseley, I mean Tony Todd. Rest in
Of course.
peace. We God, he's great as Ben. The little known fact with one of the kids that lives in the house there, he's in Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3, which maybe no one picked up on. But
Mm.
and then you've got what's his name who plays the Cooper, who is in Tom Tolles. He's in Rob Zombie's movies. The cast is like pretty good. I think there are some cameos. I like it. I think it's good. I think it's well done. I don't know if I like Patricia Tallman's character. She kind of I don't know if I buy it as much, but I love the end because it's not just bang the zombies are dead. It's then the look at what's going on. They're like putting the zombies like that reminds you of Walking Dead stuff, doesn't it? Kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're seeing what happens with the zombies and the people, how they're interacting, and yeah, no, I like it. I do. It is not. I do not think it's better than the original. I want to go on record on that. But I like it. I think they did a good job with it. I think Savini did a good job with it. I think it hurt he didn't really want to maybe direct it, but I think it's well done. I do like it.
Once you hear Sabini, I mean, you're coming out of the 80s and all the beautiful things that he did as far as makeup effects, all that
Oh,
stuff. So it
he's
better
the
look
man.
good.
He's the
It
man.
better look good.
Yeah.
But I think the thing for me is I spent so much time focusing on the overall appearance of it. And then, of course, once you get into the storyline, the dramatic shift. Not to say in the original Ben was the main character. I think you had kind of like an ensemble thing to
Mm-hmm,
it.
mm-hmm.
But of course, the focus was on the surviving members. But you had more of this, dare I say it, this female empowerment happening that was kind of key for late 80s, early
Mm-hmm.
90s. And of course, you have the gore effects and all that.
Yeah.
But I just think that the change was too much for a lot of people.
Okay.
I don't know. A lot of people do not like this movie. And
No,
not to
they
say that
don't. They
they're
don't. You're right.
passionate about the original, but
I don't know.
I think it adds to the zombie lore, but not in a way where it's like true to the original enough for people. But I just like the survivor aspect of it. And there's
Yeah,
enough changes to let it stand on its own if you want to do a comparison between the two. So I do like that. And it's faster paced too. The thing with the
it
original is
is.
there was a
It's
lot
slow.
of story. There was a lot of dialogue. There was a lot
Yeah,
of
yeah.
almost like a stage play in a sense.
Yeah, like a reading, like a War of the Worlds kind of, or
Yeah.
paralysis kind of thing. Yes, you're right. That is true.
And this one is just like, no, we're just going for it.
And to kill
So,
zombies. Yeah,
and you mentioned Tony Todd. So
I love
I
him.
think it's
He's the
like
best.
Sabini coming out of the 80s, Tony Todd coming into his own. It's a
Yep.
beautiful combination. It's
This
a
is
beautiful
right
combination,
before,
but
it's
can't
2
touch the
years.
OG.
No, 2 years before he did Candyman. And there are two things I like about, I'll mention about the remake. I love her line at the end when she shoots Cooper in the base. That came out of the base. He's still alive, but she shoots him anyway. And she says the line, "That's another one for the fire." And she says the line from the.
It's like everything's like a flip in a
Yep.
sense.
And then I love the original because the line of "There's an army of undead doing unspeakable things," and what's the exact I can't remember the exact line now, but it's White Zombie used it in one of their songs. Like I think at the end of their first track of Devil Music Volume 1. An unidentified army of assassins killing, whatever. It's like a news report, and that line is from Night of the Living Dead, the original, which I think is awesome. So I love that. I didn't even know that till I was like 15 or 16 when I watched it. I was like, oh, it's from Night of the Living Dead. So that part is great. I love, because Zombie always uses those samples. All right, so we're halfway through our list of ones that we know we chose. So
We're going at a good pace.
I think so. So we'll take a break here. I'll just think to myself, what I want to do is I want to pull up more titles for everyone. I'd love to intro these for everybody. So we will do, let's see. I'm still looking. There was something else that I wanted to think of from the original, but now, or Night of the Living Dead original. Oh, it's the only official sequel they also call it too, I guess. Like any other ones are not really sequels or something like that, but for whatever that's supposed
Interesting.
to be. So a small town doctor learns that the population of his community is being replaced by emotionless alien duplicates. We're going way back in time. 1956, invasion of the Body Snatchers. Okay. So this is like where pod people starts, right? You always hear the term of the pod people, and they're the pod. This is where it's from, right? So I like the whole idea of this guy's like sitting in like the doctor's office, and he's like recounting this story of what happened and all these things, right? And it's this old 1950. You really kind of have to go back in time, to kind of get like the vibe of this. But this is like the original, like we're talking early 50s, like sci-fi horror movie, right? Mm-hmm. The aliens have come from outer space and flying saucers, and they're coming to take over our town, and they all still kind of talk like this, and it's shot in super scope. We love that it's in super scope, and they show up like carrying the pods around, and the doctor's the only one that knows what's going on, and they try to escape at the end, and they Kevin McCarthy's in this. I like it. And at the end, of course, he's not crazy, because they're talking about, oh, this happened in this town in San whatever it was, and he's like, oh, really? So
it's like a sea pod.
You finally realize, like, no, he's not crazy. He's telling the truth here. And I find it entertaining. It's not scary at the time. Again, how scary are these films, right? Like, have you ever seen Haxan? I mean, back in 1925, people thought Haxan was the scariest movie ever to grace the face of the earth. And it's like, what? How's it scary? So
yeah,
I can see, like, how it could definitely be scary at the time. But I love the fact that it's, like, sets the stage for everything. It is, like, the original pod people, like, outer space movie, I guess, right? That's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. So I just mentioned about the 50 sci-fi movies and having the social commentary. This is the sci-fi horror version of that, because
there you go.
This movie is a total metaphor. This movie is a total metaphor, for the Red Scare.
Oh, it's totally McCarthyism. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And just not only that, but all the other things that are taking over, quote unquote, that old American life.
Yeah,
so
that's right. The good old days, right?
Yeah. You're taking over. Barbara's not like she used to be. All that stuff. And it just builds tension. I had to go back. I had to go back and watch it, because Once again, my physical media stuff, I have the Kino
Oh,
of
look
the
at that.
original.
That is beautiful.
And then, of course, the matching one for the remake, the 78
Oh,
remake.
that's
That's
awesome.
why I said I wanted to talk about the 78 one. Plus, out of all of the remakes, that was probably the best one. But,
Mm.
you got the communism, you got the Cold War stuff, like you mentioned, McCarthyism.
Oh, yeah.
And the fact that, although it's California and we always think
Right.
about big town California, it's small town.
Yes, it is.
Everyone knows each other.
Right.
The gas guy is in his basement. How did he get in? He just walked in.
Right. Right.
They don't lock their doors. When he left, there was a scene where he leaves the girlfriend's house and her and the father goes up to bed and he just walks out the front door.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody locks the front door. So everyone small, trusting,
It could be Antonio
monolithic.
Bay from The Fog. It could be the town from Arachnophobia. Like right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
They're very trusting. And I think the pod people just represents the beginning of, once again, mistrust in fill in the blank, whatever it is, whoever it is. But I love this movie. I go back to it a lot.
That's
And
good.
if I catch it on, like, Sci-Fi Channel or something, I know exactly where it is in the
You gotta
movie. I'm
watch it.
watching the whole thing.
You got to watch it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is. It definitely holds its place. I think that it's probably a movie that a lot of people probably haven't seen,
Mm-hmm.
and they probably should. So I don't know. But this is interesting too because you're talking about how people didn't lock doors and they didn't do things like that. So this is, I think, what, 1956. So
Yeah.
then this would have been before things like Ed Gein happened, right? This would have been
Exactly.
before that. So that's when things changed, and that's when the real boogeyman started to show up and stuff like that. So, but then that leads the way to when strange seeds drift to Earth from space, mysterious pods begin to grow and invade San Francisco, replicating the city's residents one body at a time. 1978 Invasion of the Body Snatchers remake. I know you want. I'll wait. I know you want to. I will just say this might be the best remake ever. Go ahead.
Wow.
It's pretty damn good. This movie's pretty damn good.
It is. It is. And I have to say, this is one that I was late to. I knew about it. I used to see like the commercials when I was a kid for it, see it in the newspaper, but I was what, 7, 8 years old when it came out. So
1978.
there was no way I was going to the movies and no one was taking me to see this.
Right. Not
And
that.
over the years, you have so many remakes that came out. The Invasion, which
Yeah.
I think that just got a recent release. Body Snatchers.
Yeah.
There's so many different. It's almost like a subgenre of horror
Mhm.
movies, sci-fi horror movies,
Yeah.
and I was never satisfied with any of them.
Okay.
And then I come back to this
Mm-hmm.
and start with the cast.
Oh boy.
Sutherland,
How great are they?
freaking Goldblum,
Jeff
young
Goldblum,
Goldblum.
20-something years old, probably, right? I mean, give me a break, right?
And
Yeah.
he's the same character that he
Right?
is now. It's beautiful.
Isn't
And
it?
then you have the great Leonard Nimoy. And there's other people, but you just those
But
are
he's
heavy
so
hitters right
again like
there.
typecast as this I hate the way I thought he was totally typecast again, but whatever.
But it's just great,
Mm.
and you might have a point there. Since you said that, I'm like searching my head. Really, the best? I don't know, but
Okay,
you might be right.
I don't know if it's the best, but it's pretty damn good.
Yeah, it is. It is. And I love it. I watched it today again just to throw it in and have it in background noise. And I just kept looking up. So going back to the original for a minute, there was, and this was typical of 50s sci-fi movies, there was a moment where there's an actualization and a realization. And it's kind of like the detective at the end of a mystery story telling you all the details, except it's a discovery and the doctor knows all the information about the pods and how they got there and what they're doing. And it was like you just saw it for the first time like 30 seconds ago. How do you
Right.
know all this information?
Right.
And with the remake, you don't have that. It's more believable.
Yeah.
It's more believable the way it's found. This urban setting, they move it to like a big city now
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
things happen and
Yeah.
there's people. I don't know those people. I'm in San Francisco. So
Right.
and there's almost like you just see people within their own groups and just the psychological aspect of it. And that's what makes it terrifying because now you don't understand and you don't trust anybody. And this is coming after Watergate. So it's a different type of distrust than you had with, the Cold War time.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone is someone you could mistrust, even the person that you're trying to help get away.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
It is. The paranoia is so deep in this, and it is so good.
Yeah.
It is so good.
And I didn't say anything about the last scene because that's just bleak.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, that is just so perfect.
Yeah.
It really, the direction is just superb. It's just done so well. Yeah, it is just good. The conspiracy, like paranoia stuff is just perfect.
Mm-hmm.
It's really well done. I really enjoy it a lot. I don't know, greatest remake ever. And okay, maybe I don't know, but it's pretty.
I don't think you're far from hyperbly. I think that
it's pretty. It's
arguable.
It's top three. It's definitely top
easily.
three. Yeah, I think it is. Yeah, Sutherland, Cartwright from Alien, of course, she's in it. Yeah, and then I think there's some cameos from the original film. They're like the guy jumping on the windshield, right? That's really cool. Yeah,
the doctor.
Yeah, Jeff Goldblum. That's hilarious.
The doctor coming back.
Good.
That was best.
Yes, good movie. Okay, so scientists and American Air Force officials fend off a bloodthirsty alien organism while at a remote Arctic outpost. Man, we keep going really back in time here. We keep going, we're rewinding even further and further. 1951, The Thing from Another World. Okay, so if you're wondering, you never heard of that title, this is the original The Thing, which we'll get to. John Carpenter's, that, The Thing. Mm-hmm. So this movie, I'll go because I'm very brief about this. I don't really think much of this film. I'm sorry. Like, I love the fact that it's what's on TV in Halloween when they're babysitting, right?
Right.
Because John Carpenter loves Howard Hawks. He loves this. He loves this movie, and that's why for him to be able to remake it was like a dream for him, which is awesome. I don't really get like the whole flirting with like the women at the thing. I think that's just totally out of like place. I don't get it. I don't like it. I like the scientists, and they're kind of weird, and we've gone back to like World War II just ended basically. I'm very removed from this life, and like I don't, it's definitely before my time for sure. Again, not scary, but at the time maybe. But it has things to say, I guess. But it doesn't do a whole lot for me.
Yeah, I'm the same thing here, and this is one that I only watched when I found out that Carpenter's The Thing was a remake, and I was like, it is, and I had to go back and watch it. And then come to find out it's not even original. It's based on like a short story.
So I was going to ask, have you read the novel or no? Have you read that?
I have not.
Okay, neither have I.
But I just think that just to do a comparison, there was enough there to keep to the original. But then, of course, Carpenter takes off and makes it his own. But I mean, if we had to do a ranking of all these that we're discussing, this is like pulling up the rear for sure. Because it's a story to get to a better story. And that's how I see it. And, once again, you got the sci-fi horror element of it. And it's just a foundation, a basis to get to a better telling of the story, which is what Carpenter did. So I also have little to talk about this. It's just the whole humanoid and ice thing. So
it is, and the monster looks like Frankenstein. He's not very scary. I don't know. So in that vein, we clearly don't have much to say about that, but we do want to talk about a research team in Antarctica is hunted by a shape-shifting alien that assumes the appearance of its victims. I've done an episode on The Thing. I have talked with the creator of Creator VC about the The Thing, the documentary that he did. 1982's The Thing is regarded as one of the great horror films I think ever made. It's like the best monster movie, people say. Carpenter didn't think much about it, I guess. It didn't get much love at first. He was very disappointed by that. Again, it follows the story. It's the Arctic research base. We've all seen it. The shape-shifting and the stuff, the monsters in the movie are incredible. They're like so amazing. It's a superior remake. I mean, I really think it is. It's maybe that's your top three remakes also, I guess, kind of the thing.
That would be my top.
Yeah, I mean, that really is. And this movie is just like people love it. So yeah, shout out Robin Block, who's Creator VC. The Thing Expanded is the name of it. We did an episode on it. You should check it out. It's really cool. It's diving beyond deep into the thing. So if you want to do that, but yeah, no, this is a great movie. I mean, the blood squirting, and I mean Kurt Russell looking like Johnny Damon from the Red Sox, and it's just like, I mean, it has everything. It really is like, and it's so isolated, and
Yeah.
I mean, what could be scarier than being on a research base in literally the middle of nowhere, and this thing is after you?
I think that's the beauty of it, is that it uses the cold and the isolation as kind of like a setup for so many things. For one, it uses it as a setup for the tension and the horror, but also the nihilism of it. It's like, well, screw it, we're just stuck out here anyway. But at the same time, you want to know who it is.
Yeah.
You want to know who it is.
Yeah.
And most recently, I think when Carpenter got his star on the Walk of Fame,
that was just recently, wasn't it? That's right.
Yeah, it was him. It was Kurt Russell, and I want to say it was Keith David.
I think it was. Yep.
And they, between the three of them, they said that it was McCready.
Okay.
Which just makes me want to go back and just watch like the last 20 minutes again, because it's like, there's no way. A quick story about the last time I saw it on the big screen, because once again, I was 12 when this came out. It didn't have a chance. I did a series of conversations 2 Octobers ago. So my goal was 31 conversations in 31 days.
I think I was on one of those.
Yes, you were.
Didn't we kick off the month with that? Yeah.
And I got to like day 15, 16, and I realized I haven't gone out the house to see like a movie.
Burned out, right?
Because every night I'm doing a freaking live stream.
Yep.
So I said, you know what? It was the Saturday. It was the movie theater I go to had a triple feature called Carpenter Fest. They do every year.
Amazing.
And it was going to be The Fog, then The Thing, then Christine.
I love it.
And I hadn't seen any of them on the big screen.
That's great.
I said, I'm going.
Yeah.
I'm going. Screw this. Whoever I had that night, I rescheduled. And
if they knew you were going to see that, then they would be okay with it. I would have been okay with that. Yes, of course. Yes.
Yeah.
And
I just put out like a little thing saying, hey, what's your favorite Carpenter film? And the majority of people said The Thing. So it's really interesting how
for me it's Halloween, but yeah, a lot of them it is The Thing. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, it didn't do well initially. You would think Halloween, but everyone said The Thing. That was the #1 vote. So I put that collage together and I posted it that night. And I went to Carpenter Fest and just check it out. Front row, leather couch.
That's amazing.
Me and my wife, we had a blast. It was so good.
That's beautiful. Yeah, it's great to see some of these movies finally on big screens that either you weren't around for or you were too young for. So
yeah,
no, it definitely it is the monster movie. I mean, it's full of guts and gross, and it's got everything you need. Nope, it's good stuff.
Still. Legendary practical effects.
Oh, incredible.
There's CGI effects people that go back to 82 to watch this to see how it's done. It's insane.
Like,
who was that?
It's like a handbook.
What was the guy
who did the effects?
Rob.
I don't know.
Rob Bottin?
Well, we can certainly look, right? Let's see. Who did our effects in? That is a good question. Let's see. Do we know?
Whoever
Special
it is.
Effects.
Kudos.
I mean, the thing where it comes in, it's like 18 different people, and it's like, oh, this is, or the one with growing like the tentacles out of it and then running away. I mean, just some of those.
Just the blood test scene alone.
Oh, the blood test scene is just amazing. It is like the best, right?
That is the best.
Rob Bottin. He did your effects there. Yep.
Nice.
And Stan Winston was part of it. You got to have Stan Winston in it, right? With you too. Yep. The Thing. Great stuff. So, a scientist has a horrific accident when he tries to use his newly invented teleportation device. All right. I really have not much to say about this in 1958's The Fly, because hate to say this, I haven't seen it recently. I think I saw it like when I was a kid, maybe. And I don't really remember much about it at all, except the famous where he's wearing the hood and he has like the fly claw, and he's like he's French, I think. He's isn't it right? And that's kind of like all I remember. I now we'll get to stuff I do remember in a minute, but the original Fly, I got very little to say about it, unfortunately.
Yeah. For the original, I just remember the whole Vincent Price thing.
Oh, Vincent Price. That's right. Of course. Vincent Price. Yes, yes.
Yeah. I used to stay up on Saturday nights and watch this midnight movie thing, funny enough, called Fright Night in New York City on a Saturday night.
We got to bring that back. Oh, man.
I love that. I love that. And I think just, I never bought, there's a collection of all the Fly movies. You really just want to get it for Cronenberg's Fly. But the thing about this is you're coming out of World War II and you're starting to hear these stories about scientific experimentation.
Right.
And I think that was the biggest tie-in to the movie. It was like a cautionary tale.
Yeah.
About being too curious about science. But I mean, everything about it was basic for the times, but scary for the time. Sci-fi horror was like a big thing.
That was huge.
We just spoke about
those 50s movies that we talked about, almost all of them practically, right?
Invasion and this one. You're talking basic makeup, creature effects. Yep. But Andre with Helen and everything, you have a little bit of a love story there. But I really think it was perfected in 86. So you might as well get to it.
So that's a great segue of a brilliant but eccentric scientist begins to transform into a giant man-fly, Brundlefly hybrid after one of his experiments goes horribly wrong. Okay, this movie is just, 1986 remake. Is there any better body horror? This movie is so gross. It's so wonderful. It is just incredible. When he first... has the Brundlefly mutation. He's this strong, powerful guy crawling up on walls, and then he just starts to fall apart, and his ears are falling apart, and he's drooling, and it is so gross. And at the end, when he spills and vomits on the guy's arm, and it melts his arm, which is just amazing. And then, she finally has the compassion. He takes the shotgun, he moves it toward his head, like blow me away here at the end. And the dream she has of delivering the baby larva. It's just so it's fabulous.
It's graphic. It's nasty.
Is it about like the 80s and AIDS? Is it about like horrible diseases? Of course, yeah. It's about a lot of stuff. It's so gross, and I love it, and I'll watch it whenever it's on TV. Jeff Goldblum is awesome.
Same here.
Love it. Love it.
It's intense.
It's like the body horror masterpiece.
Yeah, and I'm gonna step on my soapbox for a moment here. I went to see The Shrouds, which is Cronenberg's newest movie.
Okay.
And yes, we're not in 1986. We're almost 40 years away from it. But the quality of movies that he put out back then, this Videodrome, on and on and on, compared to what he puts out now, I'm still looking for that old David Cronenberg, but he's not there anymore. Crimes of the Future, when it ended, I was like, that's it. It was like I just waited for body horror scene to body horror scene, or body mutation scene to body mutation scene, and then it just abruptly ended. And The Shrouds was just like, I don't know, this story of a man dealing with mortality in more than one way. And I think that's where he is now. We're not getting another Fly. We're not getting another... any of your classics that you like from Cronenberg. You're not getting another Naked Lunch even.
Right. I just watched The Brood recently. He did that too. I don't know. I was kind of up back and forth on that one. I didn't love it, but it was an interesting movie.
Yeah. But talking about a one we did love, everything about this is great.
It's so good.
Everything from the complex love story.
Yeah.
To how raw it is, how
it's so
graphic and gross it is.
He's wearing like the gloves.
There are
that
metaphors
tape
for
up in his arm and stuff, and it's just, oh man.
You mentioned metaphors for the 80s and everything. That was the high time for it. So there is that element there, but you kind of look back at that. I don't think anyone was really seeing that in the time, but everything to do with the metamorphosis scene was just incredible.
Just slow, it's just awful. It's terrible what happens to him. It's just like, it's terrible. Then as the audience, you can't look away, right? You can't look away from it though. It's
You're
incredible.
just loving it.
You're loving it. It's a great movie. Yeah, whenever it's on, I think I saw Fly too, but I think it was pretty lame, so I don't.
Not a fan.
All right, so this is exciting because we are at the end of the ones that we already decided on. I don't want to say save the best for last. I don't think that's true. We love these all, but so all I'm going to say at the tag, all I'm going to give is who will survive and what will be left of them. And if you don't know that, you better, because we're talking about Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I will give my I will make this an all-in-one. I'll cover both. I'll give my undying love for both. Right. The original film is one of my favorite movies of all time.
Okay.
And I find it to be, again, like we talked about how gross The Fly is. Chainsaw is so dirty and it's so raw, and it's like I don't belong here. I'm scared of I'm just scared of this place, right? Like I don't really want to be. I'm not comfortable with this scenery and this. Where is this in Texas? And am I going to just disappear if I go to this place? And oh my God, it's hot and it's terrible and gross, and it's just so good, and it's so scary. And I just think the world of it. Speaking of movies on the big screen, I went to MoMA last summer and saw it on the big screen at MoMA. They had a screening for the 50th anniversary. Yep, I went to New York City for the weekend to watch it on the big screen. It was awesome. The remake was one that I was hesitant. I wasn't all in like Halloween. I was thinking, okay, we'll see how this goes. This movie's so unique and it's so low budget. It was just such a unique product. We'll see. But the great thing is, because of Daniel Pearl, who was the DP, the cinematographer for the original and the remake, and thank you again, Daniel, for coming on my show. We had him on for the 50th anniversary. He did both. He did both films. So you've got, you have a in the hands of a master, and he did such a great job. And it's like that MTV Generation, the new one, right? And that new one is scary. It really is scary. I think they all do a good job of it. They do it. It's spooky again in Texas. I love the house they used. It's grimy and nasty as well. Not in the same way, of course, but they did a good job with it. Yeah, man. Chainsaw is now there's a lot of sequels for all the Chainsaw movies too, and we're not going to bother with those. But yeah, the original, that is for me, that is the Mount Rushmore for me of horror. And the 2003 remake, bring it on. I like it a lot. I like it a lot.
I will do the same then. I will say this. I never had an appreciation of the original until like 5 years ago. Because, I mean, once again, you got your Freddys, your Jasons, your Michaels, and then I was like, well, who's fourth if you want to Rushmore it? When someone said Leatherface, I was like, who? Why? And I just could never get into the movie. I've seen bits and pieces, and then one day, in the days when Best Buy sold physical media still, I said, you know what? There was a Blu-ray Steelbook. I'm just going to buy it. It's like
awesome.
$10.
Good.
And I sat down, and of course it's on Blu-ray, so it looks good, but it's not the highest quality. And the grittiness of that movie.
Oh, yeah. It's incredible. It's 16 millimeter. And
then once again, like I said in the beginning, I try to reflect on the time. 74. No one has ever seen this in 74.
No.
Even though it's, low budget, probably didn't get a lot of distribution, but the realism of it was almost shot like a documentary.
Yes.
Like you expected to hear that it was real.
Yes.
And then, of course, you got the crawl in the beginning that makes you think it was real.
Yep, that's the beautiful part. I love it.
And the only thing to this day is Sally. I just stop screaming. Stop screaming, please.
There's she screams a lot.
But the whole cast, the cast of kids in the beginning, it's almost like the movies where you root for where you don't root for the protagonist. And this is one of those films. I wanted all of them dead. Push Franklin down a hill, please. Just get rid of him.
He's not a favorite of anyone in that movie for sure.
No. So when the remake came out, of course, not being akin to the original the way I am now, like I think I have 3 copies now, and this is only within the last 5 years of, appreciating the movie. So I've only streamed the new one, and I like the production value of the movie. And talk about remakes that are necessary, not necessary. If you look at all the sequels and stuff, they're not necessary. They show on TBS just because they need to fill up two blocks in the afternoon. But this one, it has great cinematography. It almost looks like they turn the color down. It's like a little muted and everything.
Silver and
Yeah. And the best thing about this, the cast. I can't believe I'm saying that about a horror remake, but
Arlie
you got
Army, of course, he's so
yes.
great.
I was gonna say,
look at this pretty little thing here. Oh yeah.
right, you got the sheriff there.
Yeah, Sheriff
You got Jessica Biel.
Yep, she's good.
Probably one of her better performances,
She's good.
not for
She's good.
nothing. And I just like the way it was like stylized, like you mentioned, is for that MTV generation.
Mm-hmm.
I could always watch a early 2000s movie and say, I know when they made this.
Yeah, right.
I just watched this one called Better Luck Tomorrow, and I didn't even look at the year it was made, and I knew it was early 2000s.
Okay.
But a lot of people that are now famous was in that one, but neither here nor there. I just like the way they fleshed out Leatherface also in this one.
Yeah.
And great. Almost like an old school approach to like the score and the sound effects and everything in it. So if I am to pick it up, I would probably blast it when I watch it just to get that creepiness and everything about it. But definitely darker, more action driven. But I really like this one too. Yeah.
And so, like I said, mention if you guys want to listen to the episode with Daniel Pearl, who was cinematography. He tells the story in our episode about, that shot underneath the swing when it follows Pam. 8mm lens on there, just like the stories he had of this were just great. So again, having him on was really wonderful. All right, so here we go. This is going to be fun. I'm going to go first. Okay. We picked one film and a remake we didn't tell each other about.
What if it's the same thing? You were saying if we didn't see it. I'm more thinking it might be the same thing.
That would be hilarious. I have a feeling we probably both think we picked something, and I don't know if it's actually the one we picked or not. So what I'm gonna read the description, the tagline to you, and let's see if you know it when. Okay, but tell me if you don't, obviously. So, after a tragedy strikes, a grieving father discovers an ancient burial ground behind his home with the power to raise the dead. What am I talking about?
Pet Sematary.
Yes, sir. Have you seen both?
Of course, I've seen the original. I don't like cats, but I literally considered getting Church. I wanted a cat like
Winston Churchill.
No, I have not seen the original. I have it here, or maybe it's Pet Sematary too. I don't know. I have one of them, but I have not seen the remake.
Okay.
You're giving me homework.
I'm giving you homework that is going to be optional because
no,
I think the remake stunk.
Is that the one with Colin Farrell?
No, it is not. I forget who the dad is in that movie. I've kind of blanked that out. I want to give him credit for trying. John Lithgow plays Judd. That didn't really work either. It just doesn't work, and they start making like more zombies, and just it becomes this silly thing of burying the dead to bring them back, and they're like an undead family at the end, and it's just, oh my God, what are you doing? No, it doesn't work. The original is a favorite of mine. I love Stephen King.
So do
I think I've read Pet Sematary 3 times now, maybe more. It's my favorite book. I think the book is tremendous. I tell you about it, I am in love with the idea of this place, of that there's this place in my backyard in this spooky swamp that they describe, and the way they describe it in the book is so great. The movie does it okay. It needs to be better. Of the loons and the will-o'-the-wisp and the wendigo even, and it's so cool. And there's a place that has the power to do this is incredible. It's terrifying. It's like this just ancient evil, and the fact that it can do this, incredible. I think the movie's great. So again, original, love it to death. Remake, you can have that. Now, I did watch the prequel, The Bloodlines.
Yeah,
I liked that. I thought that was pretty. Oh, it wasn't great. I thought it was good though, because it brought us back to. Because Judd's always telling those stories of when he was younger, and so now we actually see the story. So I kind of like that. Pet Sematary 2, Eddie Furlong. We all love Eddie Furlong, right? It's okay, but anyway, that's so yeah. Now you have homework to do. You have to watch. You have to at least watch the remake, I think.
Yeah. All right. So I got to talk about this because this is one of these movies I had on VHS and would come home from school and watch over and over again. There are so many elements to this movie that are just beautiful, but I want to talk about the sister.
Zelda?
That is so
Never
creepy.
get out of bed again. Never get out of bed again.
So here it is, this movie, and
Never
I
get out of
mean,
bed again.
it's not super scary,
It's pretty
and it's
creepy
not
though.
super creepy. It's just creepy elements that's going on. You
Yeah.
got the undead going on, whatever.
Yeah,
But
a lot
then
of
in
that.
the middle of it is like this story, and
Of her sis.
oh my
Yeah.
gosh, it
Yeah.
just gets so creepy,
It's awful. Hiding her in
so
the back
creepy.
room like a dirty secret, like she says, right?
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh,
Like
and
her
it's almost like
family, like
we all got it. We
the
all got
dynamic
creepy secrets.
of her family and Lewis is like it's terrible. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's terrible.
It's great. There's so many aspects that the little boy. Oh,
Cage is so
and then you got Herman Munster telling stories.
Yeah,
Oh, it's
yeah.
beautiful. It's beautiful.
Road out there. Fixed cat don't tend to wander. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I could throw this on and watch this
Oh,
anytime.
it's the best.
But when Zelda comes on, I gotta turn down the volume a little bit.
Rachel. Yeah.
Ah, too much, too much.
I met a lot of the cast. One of my favorite things I own is my Pet Cemetery poster. I got it signed by almost the whole cast.
Mm-hmm.
Did not get it signed by the guy who played. It was a guy, by the way, who played Zelda. I did not get that. I did not get that. He was not there for that. But maybe I don't. Maybe he was. I did double check that. But you would never recognize him because obviously so much makeup and whatever. But
Right.
yeah, a guy played her. But yeah, that's one of the things that I love most that I own is a poster signed by almost everybody. That movie's so good.
Oh gosh. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna check out those two. I'm lining up my description here
Okay, I'm ready.
because you're gonna guess it as soon as I start to tell what it is.
Okay.
But I'll combine the two.
All
Okay.
right.
So during an escalating zombie epidemic, two Philadelphia SWAT team members, a traffic reporter, and his TV executive girlfriend seek refuge in a secluded shopping mall.
When there's no more room in hell, the dead will walk the earth.
Walking earth. Yes.
All right. So, shout to my friend Matt Blasi, who everyone should know about because he does the Blair Witch Tour. We did an episode on Dawn of the Dead. Dawn of the Dead is his favorite movie. He worked closely with George Romero for years, and he loves Dawn of the Dead. 1978 Dawn of the Dead. 79, whatever year do we say.
78.
Sometimes there's a weird back and forth on that. So, that movie's tremendous. That is the ultimate a case of beer and a couple pizzas movie, right?
Yeah.
Like just hang
Easily.
out. Like the poster paint blood, like it's like melted crayon red almost, It's so good. The zombies getting their heads cut off with blades from the helicopters. Tom Savini and his gang, a motorcycle gang that runs wild in the mall. The zombies lurching around, like looking for at the ice rink. Save Monroeville Mall, by the way. Walmart bought it, and they're trying to probably close it. So sign a petition, please.
Uh-oh.
And then we got a 2004 remake. Now, Matt does not, he hates it. He thinks it's awful. I like it. I like it a lot, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Those first 10 minutes are insane.
Depends on the cut. There's
Okay.
a cut where there's a little more story, and then there's the theatrical
All right, so
where it goes right into it.
The one you saw in the theater, the one you watch on Sci-Fi, right? Yeah, that's the one I guess we're talking about.
Yeah, so
It is
good.
bananas. It is bananas. As Milwaukee melting down, and that is just nuts. And then, I like everything in the mall. The zombie baby, I loved it.
Mm-hmm.
I loved everything. Really everything about it. I loved, shooting the celebrity lookalikes when they're out there. I love the guy across. Remember, go ahead and shoot the Rosie O'Donnell lookalike, and they're picking the people off.
Oh yeah.
I loved. What was it? They played Down with the Sickness, which is Disturbed, but it's like that lounge act kind of version, like Down with the Sick. But then at the end, they have the video camera, and they land on the island, and they get overrun. That's when they start playing the Down with the Sickness. And that is the best track to end this movie, and it's like you fall fired up. And I think Zack Snyder did an awesome job with it. I'm look. Is it better than the original? No. 1978 Dawn has a special place in any, it owes, like me and Matt and I talked about in the episode, any zombie, Walking Dead, anything later on that we see now owes part of that to this film. That is important as hell. It's one of the great sequels of all time, right? I mean, we said official sequels, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Dawn of the Dead sequel to Night of the Living Dead. We can say what you want. But in, Romero's zombie trilogy, it's just the best. And yeah, the remake, bring it on, man. I'll watch it. You know what? Those are some good early 2000s. Let's watch Chainsaw from 2003, then Dawn of the Dead from 2004. How about that? There you go.
That's a nice combo.
Yep.
That's a nice combo.
I love them both.
I will say this about 78. This was one of those movies that scared the crap out of me when I'd see the TV commercial because the elevator doors would open and they
Flyboy.
Just run out.
Yeah.
But watching it as an adult, the satire of it, almost like kind of like what we saw with the original one in Night of the Living, where you have all the different characters and their ways that got to what am I trying to say? The characteristics of everyone in the mall trying to get out, trying to work together, just is reflective of kind of Romero's style that we saw in Night of the Living Dead first, and it's just continued here. But then you start to look at the emotional depth, the arcs that they go on, and then you have, like you mentioned, Savini. I think this is where he really got his start as far as like people recognizing him for his work and everything like that.
Oh yeah.
With the practical effects and the gore. Beautiful.
Beautiful. Isn't it great? Yeah, it really
is. But the whole movie is very ambiguous, you know, and I like that about it. There's like 4 different cuts of it, and I always watch, they call it the Argento cut.
Yeah, the Argento cut, right?
It's like the one that they showed at Cannes when they first showed it, which I still can't picture people watching this at Cannes, but whatever.
Right? Isn't that funny?
And, you know, you got your classic slow-moving zombies, blah, blah, blah. But then you get to Zack Snyder.
And his fast running, almost like 28 days later kind of thing, right? Yeah.
He's like, screw that. We move fast and we're aggressive.
And they're terrifying.
And this is another one where the movie is so well edited. You know, say what you want about those 2000 movies. This one is so well edited. The cutting style. You know, especially during the action scenes, the cutting styles are so great. And before I continue with the remake, I'll say this. I don't call it a remake. My friend and I did a conversation where we did this movie swap because he was saying after 32 years, you never seen Candyman. I was like, no. He's like, you need to. He's like, you just got to buy it, whatever.
I finally watched the new one just recently. I loved
Jordan Peele one.
I thought it was good. Yeah, I liked it.
So I watched Candyman and he watched Zack Snyder's Dawn of the Dead, and we discussed it. But the thing about it is, at the end of the live stream, we decided it is not a remake; it is a remix.
Okay, I like that.
Because you know, kind of like a song with a remix, it just changes enough that you could see the original, but there's things that holds it separate enough.
Okay.
So like the change in the zombies, the high energy, you know. The tension is constant compared to like them in the abandoned shopping mall in the first one.
Right.
And then the extra elements, like you mentioned, the pregnant couple and all that. And then, of course, once again, the cinematography, the intense score, especially all the way through the post credit. And then that little touch of nihilism.
Wild. You know what else I loved about? I love the intro of it with Johnny Cash and when the man comes. That is, and standing up there and taking questions. We don't know. We don't know. We don't know. We don't know. And then they get overrun while they're live by the zombie. Yeah. And you're like, okay, this is getting like it hits like 100 miles an hour and just
it's
go.
Like you can't breathe watching this movie.
That part is just great for me. Yeah, no, I really enjoyed that. I saw it in the theater and we were loving what we saw because that was that movie.
Can imagine.
Remember that was the movie. Remember like TBS or TNT had like that exclusive like 5-minute premiere clip you could watch. I don't know if you remember that. It was like during like maybe like an NBA playoff. It was during something, and it was back when everything was on TV.
Right.
But it was like, we have an exclusive clip from the new Dawn of the Dead that we're going to show, and we watched. And I remember watching it with my friends, and we were like, "Oh my god, this movie's going to be so great!
We gotta go.
This is going to be great!" Go. Yes, awesome.
And just a nice little touch of special effects too for the time. Just. I love it. I probably watched that more than the original just because
I've seen
when
it
I sit down and watch the original,
times.
I watch the longest one. So, but Zack Snyder, not bad.
Not bad. Not what we just did either. Holy cow. So we just did like 10 movies, I think, in like an hour. Holy crap. Woo. Okay. So, how about maybe like honorable mention? I'm trying to think of like an honorable mention here. There was one that I had thought of earlier, but then I just can't remember. You got anything that would be honorable mention? Original, remake?
It's not really horror, but I recently watched Speak No Evil.
I haven't seen it. Okay.
And it wasn't enough time from the original to make the American remake. But Suspiria, some people like the remake.
There you go.
Some people don't.
There you go.
Ringu, Ring.
Yep. Okay.
Grudge.
Yep. Good point.
If you want to go there, Nosferatu.
Ooh, okay. We can. I love both. I thought the new one was tremendous. I thought it was lovely. I was gonna. Yeah.
I'll add one more because it just came out on physical media. The Crazies.
Okay. You know what? I loved that remake. I thought that was great.
You ever seen the original?
Oliphant. What? Yeah. Oh yeah. Yep. I liked them both. But I thought that remake was actually very good. What about Platinum Dunes when they were doing like Chainsaw and Friday the 13th? And like Friday or Nightmare on Elm Street, those two. I didn't care for Nightmare. But yeah, I mean, there's just so much there to do. The remake can go on and on. Anyway, we could spend days doing this, obviously. So these are the ones we got. So KB, thank you. This is great. So where does everybody find you so they can hear more about these conversations you have and all these great episodes you do?
Yeah, KB Loves Movies. I just expanded the YouTube channel to now also include an audio-only podcast.
Yes.
So I'm going to have exclusive conversations there. I'm also going to have kind of like a best of from past YouTube conversations that I had on there just to make it audio-only because a lot of people kept telling me, I listen to your YouTube streams while I'm driving, if I'm door dashing or commuting or whatever. So I decided to expand it to podcasts. So it's YouTube. I'm always on Instagram. And also, now we have the podcast. So just anywhere you look for KB Loves Movies, you should find me there.
I love it. And you guys know where we lurk. You know I'm on Instagram. You know, come find me there. That's where I'd like to have my conversations and interact with all you wonderful horror fans that you are, of course. If you want to talk about more remakes that you need to suggest to me, please do so. Email me, thescarymovieproject@gmail.com. Sometimes on Facebook, a little bit. Keep up with us, scarymovieproject.com. Come to the website, check it out. This will be almost our last episode till the end of our summer break, so we'll have something cool coming up next for you guys. But you can enjoy this for your summer, and you can watch all these films all summer, and you'll have plenty to do with yourself, and you'll be so happy and caught up. It'll be great. KB, thank you again. This is great. And guys, until next time, like we said earlier, when there's no more room in hell, the dead will walk the earth.
The Scary Movie Project podcast. Learn more at thescarymovieproject.com.